Lydia and I'm here to talk about self-love and loving yourself. And I know it's a very difficult thing. It's not something that you can just say, like, oh, I'm gonna love myself today, and then it's gonna happen. No, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. And it's an everyday thing. I don't think you ever stop learning how to love yourself, or you reach a point where you permanently love yourself and it's forever and ever. No. And even though I'm giving this advice and it's something I mentor a lot of young girls and boys about, it doesn't mean I don't have days where I don't love who I am. So these are just some tips to reach a point where you're pretty much comfortable with yourself, where you can learn about who you are. It's also some ways to filter out some negativity and to spot out negativity in ways you never kind of realized that they were in your life. Sometimes it's hard to realize, where is all this negativity coming from, and why am I so upset today, or why am I allowing someone to let me feel this way, or why have I woke up in a bad mood, for the past 3 weeks. So these are kind of some ways to filter things out and just kind of start fresh. I have so many tips that I have written out, and I thought I'd just start with 10, and then I'll make a part 2 and possibly a part 3 video. Self-love is such a huge topic, and we all have different backgrounds, we all have different stories, different influences, different upbringings, so not every method is going to work for the same person, but hopefully these will help. So tip number 1 way to love yourself is paper and pen. It sounds simple, but paper and pen is so powerful. With the paper and pen, write down what you do like. If love is too strong of a word, you can turn it into like. What you do like or love about yourself, and the things that you want to learn to like or love about yourself. I like this because sometimes we don't really think about the things that we do like about ourselves. We always focus on the things we don't like. So just have a list, even if it's just one thing you do like or love about yourself and 20 things that you don't like. Just write it down so you can identify it and you can kind of reflect on how you feel about yourself. Number 2 is to pick one thing from that list that you don't like about yourself and just try to start working on it. Even if you want to pick one thing a month, one thing a year, it's still progress. So just identify one thing. I would say don't start with the thing that bothers you the most, because that can take a lot to tackle. Once you kind of tackle the little bits that kind of, build up, then it's kind of easier to tackle the bigger problem. So I'd always say start with the smallest one you have, and then you can kind of work on the bigger one. And when I say work on it, that could be another video on how to work on it. But I'd say just being comfortable with it. If it's a physical thing, just stare that thing down in the mirror. And don't say negative things toward it, just say it's a part of me. If, for example, one of the biggest things for me was my lips. I was taunted a lot as a kid for the size of them. I hated them for a very long time, and I would just kind of look in the mirror, and I used to, say such hateful things and horrible things, to myself, brainwashed myself into believing that what people said was true when it wasn't. I just kind of reached a point where I went down my list, and eventually when I got to my lips, I started to buy really bright lipsticks and just say, this is who I am, and let me try it. And it was a bold step, and I realized that not everyone can do that. But that was my way of kind of dealing with that problem. And eventually, it's something now that I get complimented on all the time. So, yeah. Tip number 3 to love yourself is to have what I like to call an image detox. You need to detox your mind of all the ideal beauty images that you have been fed in various ways through the media, through society, etc., etc. You need to just detox your mind from all of that. And the way I chose to do it was through like unfollowing a lot of Instagram accounts that would make me feel that I wasn't beautiful, or that I would often kind of compare how I looked to the models that were used. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. It's just until I could reach a point where I was happy with who I am, then I could maybe follow them back. But for the meantime, I thought it's best for me to just get rid of these images. And any other social media platforms that I was regularly on, I would unfollow and just remove, so I could, just breathe and, just not have this image that's always constantly fed to me as beautiful, and just start to rebuild my own ideal of beauty, which I tend to find is inside. And I'd focus on characteristics that I liked in human beings rather than how they looked. And that's how I rebuilt my ideal image of beauty. But when you have, we often don't realize how many times we are fed images, and they're kind of shoved down our throat in so many ways. And it can be overwhelming, especially when you don't see your own self in a lot of this. It can make you just feel like your beauty is ignored, or that you don't even have it, that it doesn't exist. But that's not true at all. I also started to follow accounts that I didn't even know existed, that were kind of dedicated to the physical characteristics and traits that I have, such as afro hair and brown skin and, bigger lips, wider noses. Just have a detox yourself from all these ideal images. My tip number 4 is to take a deeper look into society and the media, and constantly ask the question, why? One of the best things that I've done was chose media studies as one of my A-levels when I was in college, and that opened my eyes so much, because we were forced to kind of read the denotations, which is like kind of break down what you're being fed in the media, and kind of figure out why a certain person has been represented in a certain way, and why is a thug, why is, a hero, a simple ad that was like for yogurt or something, and how the women are always somehow so deeply in love with this little taste of yogurt, which is never enough for me, because I just kind of scoff mine down. But anyways, that's not important. How her lips were like a light rosy pink, and that kind of suggests innocence and purity. And the type of spoon she had, it was like a petite little silver spoon, and how that represents something, and how she holds her hand so, perfectly and neatly, and what that suggests, and how all of that in the ad is targeting a certain audience. So there's so much in media. Ask yourself, why does the media have the right to tell me what beauty is? I'll wait. Ask yourself, why does the media earn your respect? Why does the media earn your time? Why do you trust their credibility? I mean, if you look at the media's representation, it's not that great. They drive celebrities insane and won't let them live their own lives. They twist a lot of stories. They misrepresent a lot of third world, countries. They focus on a lot of things that aren't important. They don't always report the truth to us. So with all of that being said, I just want you to start questioning a lot of the stuff you see. Just ask yourself why. Even though you may not know the answers, just ask yourself why. Why is it this way? Or why have they chosen that girl to, sell this product or be the face of this product? And with that will come a lot of insight for you. And it'll start to let you think for yourself, because we tend to depend on the media to feed us and tell us how things should be, when we have our own minds and we can guide ourselves. So just look deeper, think deeper, and ask yourself, why? Tip number 5. This one is a big one for me. It's very, very important to me. And it's about music and the music you listen to. It's important to me because I'm a musician, I'm a singer, songwriter. So I like to think very consciously about the music that I want to feed people. And when you look at, a lot of musicians, rappers, singers, and artists today, they're often blamed for a lot of things. Oh, it's Lil Wayne's fault for everyone shooting each other. Oh, it's Michael Jackson's fault because everyone wants to be rebellious. It's Prince's fault that a lot of us are aware that we are being screwed by the music industry. It's Beyonce's fault that everyone's getting butt implants. It's Jasmine Sullivan's fault that someone busted the windows out of someone's car. It's Katy Perry's fault that someone let someone away. It's Alicia Keys' fault that that girl is on fire. You get my drift. So we all pretty much love music and sometimes don't realize the power of music, but music is so powerful. If you just try and think about a world without music, I don't think we all could even just begin to kind of put ourselves in that mindset. It just would not be nice. It just would be horrible. I see music as food in a sense for the mind. You don't want to feed yourself a lot of crap food. The music I was listening to wasn't the best music. It was a lot of the same type of music is what I mean. I think it's okay to listen to whatever you listen to. I can't dictate what you like and what you don't like. I'm just saying it's nice to have a balance. Kind of balance out what you're listening to so that you can remain stable is what I'm saying. So when I reached this point where a lot of the music I was listening to kind of influenced my mind to do things that I wouldn't normally do, I started listening to a lot of artists that I kind of forgot about, or artists that I, had never discovered. And what drew me to them was often the messages in their music and how they are as people as well. I like to do a lot of research on the people and the artists that I listen to, and I like to know their backgrounds, know what's important to them, and that's how I can gravitate more to the artist and their music. I also like, songs with conscious lyrics, songs that inspire me to do something good or, be a better person, and it doesn't always have to be like that. I like some trap too. Hey. Yeah, I like all of that. I know it's kind of hard to know who to listen to. People I personally like to listen to are Joss Stone, who's like one of my childhood favorites. Been listening to her since I was 10. She was brave enough to leave a contract that she wasn't happy about and just, started her own label, did her own thing, and her music is very positive for me. And just makes me feel good when I'm down. Jimi Hendrix just has a freedom about his music that I love, and I like the fact that he kind of played with stuff, and growing up in his era, he was meant to follow a certain type of genre of music just because of his appearance. But he was like, no, I'm going to move to England and be a rock star, and he did that, and I just love that about him. Prince, I don't need to explain a whole lot, but Prince was a genius. He makes me feel so good, and listening to his interviews, he fought for a lot of musicians to just be knowledgeable about record deals and, being paid fairly. James Morrison has such a lovely voice, and I love how he calls his fans his buskers because he busts a lot, when starting up, as I do. And I just love his music. It's very positive and groovy. I love soul and Motown. I sing a lot of it. At the time where soul and Motown was being birthed, if you look at the history of it and understand, a lot of the artists, you'll know that most of them were African American. All of them were in the middle of all of the racial tension and the hate that they had to experience. A lot of them had to still go through the back door, when they were going to do a gig for the president or whoever, and a lot of them had to pee in cups, instead of using the toilets. So I see it as music was their main outlet, and when you listen to a lot of them sing, there's a lot of pain coming from them. So that inspires me. to know you can still accomplish something no matter what the circumstance is. Michael Jackson, he's one of the biggest hearts that graced this planet and has some amazing, well thought out music. And he inspires me to just always want to help someone. Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, Amy Winehouse, Sam Cooke, George Ezra, I'm a huge fan. And I also like to listen to a lot of unknown people, a lot of people I randomly find on YouTube who are just starting out or, you know, aren't famous yet or anything. Just remember with your music, just have a balance. Don't feel guilty for what you listen to. All about staying mentally stable and feeling good inside. Tip number 6 is do something for you. Do something you've always wanted to do. It doesn't have to be this, huge thing. It could just be a spa day. It could just be, getting your nails done, buying a healthy meal because you've been eating crap lately. Or it could be that you've been eating so healthy and you just really want to get ice cream. Go ahead and get that ice cream. Just do something for you that you've been wanting to do that will make you happy. You may not realize just how powerful that small thing can be and how good that can make you feel by doing something for yourself. Tip number 7 is to meet new people and surround yourself by positive people. I know it's something that you probably hear quite often and may not understand why is it such a big deal, but it is pretty simple to understand that there are a lot of people around us who can make us feel quite bad. And I went through a period where I just felt lonely for a long time, and that was mainly because I was kind of pushing away the people are now what I consider my best friends and giving more attention to the people that weren't adding to my life or making me feel, good about myself or uplifting me or caring enough about me. And now I'm at a place where I'm very fortunate to have people I can rely on and, people that I care about and that care about me just as much. And some wise words that my mom passed down to me is that you may be lucky enough to have 5 friends to count on. But if you can have just one, then you're blessed. We often think that we need loads of friends, but you really don't. So yes, find some positive people that you can rely on and people that share the same values as you. Tip number 8. This is one of my favorites, and it is walk with your head up, not down. And I often got told a lot, especially like going to school, Lydia, you walk with your head so high. And, I just kind of, it's a natural thing. It's something I think that I just developed very early on in life. And I just always walk with my head up, and it's something I get from my parents, especially my dad. Like, he loves to look up, and he always, walked with his head up, and he was so sure about himself. And it's so important because even when you're feeling down, but if you just look up and look at the world around you, look at the people around you, and take in your environment, you don't realize just how other people, may see you just because of the way you walk. And a lot of random people have stopped me on the street and, said nice things about me because of the way I walk, or, you look like you could be a future leader because of how you walk, and, I'd be like, really? Okay. But yeah, just walk with your head up. When you walk with your head down, it is a sign of, low self-esteem and confidence, and, even though you are going through that, just, try to be more aware and walk with your head up. Try not to rely on this thing. It only existed a couple of years ago. But before this, people did, walk around with their heads up. So just give it a try. Tip number 9 is to repeat that you love yourself at least 5 times a day. I know it sounds corny and you may not understand how is this going to help me, but just try it, and I promise you that feeding yourself in your mind that positivity and saying it out loud to the world really will help. have some positive. My final tip number 10 for you is to smile. I know it can be sometimes difficult, you know, to actually smile, be comfortable with your smile. But there's many ways to find the little things to make you smile. Allow yourself to smile. Allow yourself to be happy. Pop in your favorite comedian and just laugh. Laughter is a medicine. It makes you feel good and it has amazing benefits for yourself. I hope you enjoyed my 10 tips to help you love yourself. I know it's hard, but just take it one step at a time and we'll get there together. I'm here to support you, and look out for video number 2 where I will be offering some more tips. And let me know how it goes. You know, comment and interact with me on Instagram, on Snapchat and things like that. And please subscribe for more. Bye! Hello there, it's Lydia and ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Tip number 8. 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 Bye!